Samantha was a kind and beautiful black woman. She met Michael, a charming man in a wheelchair, at a charity event in their town. Even though Michael had a disability, Samantha saw something special in him right away. They started talking and found out they had a lot in common. Michael had a great sense of humor that made Samantha laugh. He was also very smart and interesting to talk to. Samantha admired how positive and determined Michael was, despite the challenges he faced being in a wheelchair. She could tell he had a good heart. At the end of the event, Michael asked Samantha if she wanted to get coffee sometime. Samantha happily said yes. She was excited to get to know Michael better. On their first date, they talked for hours about their families, their jobs, and their hopes and dreams. Samantha worked as a teacher and loved helping kids learn. Michael was a writer and hoped to publish a novel someday. Even though they came from different backgrounds, they connected easily. As they spent more time together, Samantha and Michael grew closer. They went on picnics in the park, watched movies, and cooked dinners at home together. Michael showed Samantha that his disability didn't define him or limit him. He had a full life and could do most things on his own, and anything he couldn't do, he faced with humor and determination. Samantha loved Michael's strength, independence, and zest for life. At the same time, she was happy to help him with anything he needed. They complemented each other well and brought out the best in each other. One evening, after a nice dinner at Michael's apartment, they had a deep conversation about their relationship. They realized their feelings went beyond just a casual dating. They were falling in love. "Samantha, I've never met anyone like you," Michael said, taking her hand. "You see me for who I am, not just my wheelchair. You have the most beautiful heart. I'm falling in love with you." Samantha felt tears in her eyes. "I'm falling in love with you too, Michael. I feel so lucky to have you in my life. You're an amazing man." From that day on, Samantha and Michael were officially a couple. Their love grew stronger every day. When they were together, any challenges they faced didn't seem so difficult. They supported each other's dreams and were each other's biggest fans. 2 years later, Michael took Samantha back to the park where they had their first picnic date. Samantha knew something was up because Michael seemed nervous, which was unlike him. As they sat under a big oak tree, Michael took a deep breath and pulled a small box out of his pocket. Samantha's eyes grew wide as he opened it, revealing a beautiful diamond ring. "Samantha, my love, you've changed my life and made me happier than I ever thought possible," Michael said, his voice shaking slightly. "I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" Samantha burst into tears of joy. "Yes, yes, Michael, I will marry you," she exclaimed. Michael slipped the ring on her finger and pulled her into a tight hug. They held each other, both overwhelmed with happiness and love. They started planning their dream wedding, excited to begin their life together as husband and wife. Samantha knew it wouldn't always be easy, but she had no doubts. With Michael by her side, she could handle anything. All that mattered was their love. Their wedding day was set for a sunny Saturday in June. Samantha had no idea that Michael had a big surprise planned for the wedding after-party. It would be a moment that would change their lives forever. But that's a story for another day. For now, Samantha was just thrilled to be engaged to the love of her life, looking forward to all the adventures ahead for her and Michael. The big day finally arrived, Samantha and Michael's wedding. The sun was shining bright as Samantha got ready with her bridesmaids in a cozy hotel suite. She couldn't stop smiling as her best friend helped her into her wedding dress, a beautiful white gown with lace sleeves. Samantha felt like a princess. Across town, Michael was getting ready with his groomsmen. His brother helped him into his sharp black tuxedo. Michael's wheelchair had been cleaned and polished for the occasion. He was a bit nervous but mostly excited. He couldn't wait to see his beautiful bride. The ceremony took place in a picturesque garden, with rows of white chairs set up on either side of an aisle strewn with rose petals. Guests started to arrive, dressed in their finest attire. Soft music played as they found their seats. Michael took his place at the altar, his heart racing with anticipation. Then the music changed, and everyone stood and turned to watch Samantha walk down the aisle with her father. Michael caught his breath. Samantha was a vision of beauty and grace. Her eyes locked with Michael's, and they both broke into huge smiles. The ceremony was short but meaningful. Samantha and Michael exchanged vows they had written themselves, promising to love, honor, and cherish each other forever. There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd as they were pronounced husband and wife. Michael pulled Samantha onto his lap, and they rolled back up the aisle together, both laughing with pure joy. The reception was held inside a grand ballroom, decorated with twinkling lights, gorgeous floral centerpieces, and photos of Samantha and Michael throughout their relationship. Guests enjoyed cocktails and hors d'oeuvres as a jazz band played. When it was time for dinner, the wedding party made their grand entrance. Samantha and Michael were introduced for the first time as Mr. and Mrs. to thunderous applause. They made their way to the head table, Samantha walking beside Michael's wheelchair. After heartfelt speeches from the best man and maid of honor, dinner was served. The meal was delicious, but Samantha was too excited to eat much. She kept stealing glances at her new husband, hardly able to believe this day had finally come. As the plates were cleared away, Michael grabbed the microphone. "Before we start dancing, I have a little surprise for my bride," he announced with a mischievous grin. Samantha looked at him quizzically. Michael nodded to his groomsmen. To Samantha's shock, they walked over and started to help Michael stand up from his wheelchair. The room fell silent as he slowly rose to his feet, wobbling only slightly. "Michael, what are you doing?" Samantha asked in disbelief. Michael grinned, taking a few tentative steps towards her. "I've been working with a physical therapist for months now, building up my strength. I wanted to be able to dance with you at our wedding." Tears streamed down Samantha's face. She couldn't believe the amount of hard work and dedication Michael must have put in to be able to do this for them. Michael reached Samantha and took her in his arms as the band started to play their song, At Last by Etta James. They swayed back and forth, holding each other close, as the guests watched in awe. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. After a few minutes, Michael's legs started to shake from the exertion. His groomsman brought his wheelchair over, and he sat back down, pulling Samantha onto his lap. They continued to dance like that for the rest of the song, foreheads pressed together, lost in their own little world. The reception continued late into the night, with lots of dancing, laughter, and love. Samantha and Michael couldn't stop smiling. They felt so blessed to be surrounded by so much support on the happiest day of their lives. As the party wound down, Samantha and Michael made their way to the honeymoon suite, exhausted but elated. They knew their life together wouldn't always be easy, but they were ready to face whatever challenges came their way, as long as they had each other. Samantha helped Michael into bed and then crawled in beside him, resting her head on his chest. "I love you so much," she whispered. "I love you too," Michael murmured, kissing the top of her head. "Forever and always." And with that, they drifted off to sleep, ready to start their new life as husband and wife, their hearts full of love and hope for the future. The morning after their beautiful wedding, Samantha and Michael woke up in each other's arms, feeling blissfully happy. They enjoyed a leisurely breakfast in bed, feeding each other bites of fluffy pancakes and sipping champagne. Then it was time to pack for their honeymoon. They had decided on a tropical beach getaway. Samantha couldn't wait to relax on the sand and swim in the crystal clear waters with her new husband. At the airport, as they waited to board their flight, Michael seemed a bit nervous. Samantha assumed it was just normal jitters about traveling. She gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. The flight was long but comfortable. Samantha and Michael passed the time chatting, reading, and dreaming about the adventures ahead. When they finally landed, they were exhausted but excited. A shuttle took them to their resort, a luxurious complex of bungalows nestled along a pristine stretch of private beach. Samantha gasped as they entered their suite. It was even more gorgeous than the pictures, spacious and airy, with a plush king-size bed, a living area, and a large balcony overlooking the turquoise sea. "Michael, this is paradise," Samantha exclaimed, spinning around to take it all in. Michael grinned, looking pleased. "Only the best for my wife," he said, pulling her in for a kiss. They quickly unpacked and changed into their swimsuits, eager to hit the beach. Michael transferred himself into a special beach wheelchair with large, rugged wheels that could navigate through the sand. Samantha walked alongside him as they made their way down to the shore. They spent the afternoon lounging under a large umbrella, sipping fruity drinks and taking dips in the warm, calm water. It was pure bliss as the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant oranges and pinks. Michael turned to Samantha. "I have another surprise for you," he said, his eyes twinkling. Samantha raised an eyebrow, wondering what else he could possibly have planned. Michael pointed down the beach, where Samantha noticed a candlelit table set for two, right at the water's edge. Rose petals were scattered on the sand, and soft music was playing. Samantha's heart swelled with love and appreciation. A smiling server greeted them and escorted them to the table. He poured them glasses of champagne and presented them with menus. Samantha and Michael enjoyed a delicious seafood dinner, complete with a decadent chocolate dessert, as the waves lapped gently at the shore and the stars twinkled above. After dinner, Michael nodded to the server, who quickly cleared the table. Then, to Samantha's surprise, the server returned with a small guitar and handed it to Michael. Michael started strumming a familiar melody. Samantha recognized it as the song that had been playing when Michael proposed. Tears welled up in her eyes as Michael began to sing, his voice soft and soulful. "I wrote this for you," he said, looking deep into Samantha's eyes. The lyrics were a beautiful tribute to their love story, the challenges they had faced, the joys they had shared, and the unbreakable bond between them. When the song ended, Samantha launched herself into Michael's arms, nearly knocking him out of his wheelchair. She peppered his face with kisses, tasting the salt of her happy tears. "That was the most beautiful thing anyone has ever done for me," she whispered. "I love you so much." "I love you too, Samantha," Michael murmured, holding her close. More than words can express. They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other's arms, listening to the gentle rhythm of the waves. They had never felt so content, so complete. The rest of their honeymoon passed in a blissful blur of sun, sand, and romance. They went snorkeling in the reef, explored a quaint local village, and even took a couple's massage class. Every moment was magical. On their last night, as they watched the sunset from their balcony, Samantha turned to Michael. "I don't want this to end," she said softly. "But at the same time, I'm so excited to start our life together, to face whatever comes our way, side by side." Michael smiled, taking her hand and bringing it to his lips. "Me too, my love. Me too. As long as we're together, we can handle anything." With hearts full of love and hope, Samantha and Michael prepared to return home and begin their next chapter as husband and wife. They knew it wouldn't always be easy, but they also knew their love could conquer any obstacle. Together, they could create a life more beautiful than either had ever dared to dream. After their magical honeymoon, Samantha and Michael returned home to start their life together as a married couple. They moved into a cozy apartment that Samantha had decorated with love and care, making sure it was fully accessible for Michael. The first few weeks were a blissful blur of domestic pleasure. They enjoyed cooking meals together, snuggling on the couch while watching movies, and hosting dinner parties for friends and family. Samantha loved coming home from work each day to her adoring husband. However, as the honeymoon phase began to wear off, the realities of daily life set in. Samantha and Michael sometimes bickered over small things, like whose turn it was to do the dishes or what show to watch on TV. They'd also had to navigate the challenges of living with Michael's disability on a daily basis. Some days were harder than others. There were times when Michael struggled with pain or fatigue, and Samantha had to help him with basic tasks. Other times, they faced accessibility issues when trying to go out on dates or run errands together. It could be frustrating and exhausting. But through it all, their love remained strong. They learned to communicate openly and honestly, to ask for help when they needed it, and to find joy in the little moments. They reminded each other often of the vows they had made on their wedding day, to love and support each other in sickness and in health. One evening, after a particularly tough day, Samantha broke down in tears. She had been passed over for a promotion at work, and then had struggled to help Michael with a painful muscle spasm. She felt overwhelmed and inadequate. Michael held her close, stroking her hair as she cried. "I'm so sorry, my love," he murmured. "I know it's not easy being married to me sometimes." Samantha pulled back, looking at him through wet eyes. "Don't say that," she said fiercely. "Being married to you is the best thing that's ever happened to me. You're my rock, my partner, my everything." Michael smiled softly, wiping away her tears with his thumbs. "And you're mine," he said. "We're in this together, remember? For better or for worse." Samantha nodded, taking a deep breath. "For better or for worse," she repeated. "I wouldn't have it any other way." As the months passed, Samantha and Michael settled into a comfortable rhythm. They learned to anticipate each other's needs and to lean on each other for support. They also made time for fun and romance, going on weekend getaways and surprising each other with thoughtful gestures. One day, Samantha came home to find the apartment filled with candles and rose petals. Soft music was playing, and the dining table was set with their best china. Michael was waiting for her, dressed in a sharp suit, a bouquet of her favorite flowers in his lap. "What's all this?" Samantha asked, her heart melting at the sight. "Happy anniversary," Michael said, grinning. "I wanted to surprise you." Samantha gasped, realizing that it had been exactly 1 year since their wedding day. With all the business of daily life, the date had nearly slipped her mind. She felt a rush of love and gratitude for the wonderful man she had married. The evening was perfect. Michael had cooked all of Samantha's favorite foods, and they ate by candlelight, reminiscing about their wedding and all the happy moments they had shared since. After dinner, Michael presented Samantha with a beautiful gold necklace with a pendant in the shape of two intertwined hearts. "This represents our love," he explained as he fastened it around her neck. "No matter what life throws our way, our hearts will always be connected." Samantha couldn't speak past the lump in her throat, so she simply kissed him, pouring all her love and devotion into the embrace. As they lay in bed that night, Samantha's head on Michael's chest, she reflected on the incredible journey they had been on together. It hadn't always been easy, but it had been more than worth it. She knew that as long as they had each other, they could face anything. She drifted off to sleep, secure in the knowledge that she had found her soulmate, her partner in every sense of the word. And she couldn't wait to see what the future held for them, together. Life continued happily for Samantha and Michael. They had their ups and downs like any couple, but their love only grew stronger with each passing year. They supported each other's dreams, celebrated each other's successes, and comforted each other through the hard times. One evening, about 3 years into their marriage, Samantha came home from work looking particularly thoughtful. Michael noticed her pensive expression as she sat down beside him on the couch. "What's on your mind, love?" he asked, taking her hand. Samantha took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot lately about our future," she said. "About the family we might have someday." Michael's heart skipped a beat. They had talked about having children before, but always as a distant possibility. "And what are you thinking now?" he asked gently. Samantha looked into his eyes. "I think I'm ready," she said softly. "I want to have a baby with you, Michael." Tears sprang to Michael's eyes. He had always dreamed of being a father, but had worried that his disability might make it difficult. The fact that Samantha wanted this too, that she believed in him and their ability to parent together, meant the world to him. "I want that too," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "More than anything." They hugged each other tightly, both crying tears of joy and anticipation. They stayed up late into the night, talking about their hopes and dreams for their future family. Over the next few months, Samantha and Michael began trying to conceive. They knew it might not happen right away, but they were excited about the journey. They read parenting books, picked out potential names, and even started looking at bigger apartments to accommodate a growing family. But as the months went by with no positive pregnancy test, they began to worry. They decided to consult with a fertility specialist just to make sure everything was okay. The doctor ran some tests and came back with some surprising news. "Samantha, Michael," she said gently, "I'm afraid I have some difficult information to share." Samantha gripped Michael's hand tightly, feeling a sense of dread. "What is it?" she asked. The doctor explained that due to some health issues, it was unlikely that Samantha would be able to conceive naturally. She outlined some alternative options, like IVF or adoption, but cautioned that the road ahead might be challenging. Samantha and Michael left the appointment feeling devastated. They had wanted this so badly, and now it seemed like their dream might be out of reach. For a few weeks, they grieved, they cried, they raged, they comforted each other. But slowly, they began to come to terms with their new reality. They knew that their love was stronger than any obstacle, and that they would find a way to build the family they yearned for, even if it looked different than they had originally imagined. They started researching adoption, attending information sessions, and meeting with social workers. The more they learned, the more excited they became. They realized that they had so much love to give, and that there were so many children out there who needed a loving home. The adoption process was long and sometimes frustrating, with lots of paperwork and interviews and waiting. But Samantha and Michael supported each other through it all, never losing sight of their goal. And then, one miraculous day, they got the call they had been waiting for. There was a baby girl who needed a home. She had been born with some health issues and developmental delays, but she was a fighter. The social worker thought Samantha and Michael would be the perfect parents for her. When they met their daughter for the first time, it was love at first sight. She was tiny and perfect, with big brown eyes and a tuft of curly hair. They named her Hope, because that's what she represented to them, the hope of a new beginning, a new chapter in their lives. Bringing Hope home was a joyful whirlwind. Samantha and Michael quickly adapted to the sleepless nights and endless diaper changes, the doctor's appointments and therapy sessions. It wasn't always easy, but they faced every challenge together as a team. As they watched Hope grow and thrive under their love and care, Samantha and Michael knew that this was meant to be. Their family might not look like they had originally pictured, but it was perfect just the way it was. They had each other, and they had their beautiful daughter. And that was more than enough. As the years went by, Samantha and Michael settled into their roles as parents to little Hope. It was a learning curve for both of them, but they approached each new challenge with love, patience, and a healthy dose of humor. Hope was a bright, curious child who kept them on their toes. Despite the health issues she had been born with, she was determined to keep up with her peers. She started walking and talking later than other kids her age, but when she did, there was no stopping her. Samantha and Michael made sure that Hope had all the support she needed. They took her to physical therapy and speech therapy, worked with her teachers to adapt her school curriculum, and celebrated every milestone, no matter how small. One of the biggest challenges they faced was helping Hope understand and accept Michael's disability. As she grew older, she started to notice that her daddy was different from other daddies. He couldn't chase her around the playground or give her piggyback rides. But Michael was determined to be the best father he could be, wheelchair or no wheelchair. He found creative ways to play with Hope, like racing her in his chair or playing catch from his lap. He read her stories, helped her with her homework, and showered her with affection. And Hope adored her daddy. She saw past his physical limitations and saw only the loving, funny, smart man who was always there for her. She proudly told her friends about how her daddy was the best wheelchair driver in the world. As Hope entered her preteen years, Samantha and Michael faced new parenting challenges. Hope started to struggle with self-esteem issues, feeling different and left out because of her health problems. She came home from school in tears one day, sobbing that no one wanted to be friends with the weird girl. Samantha's heart broke for her daughter. She remembered all too well the sting of feeling like an outsider. She sat Hope down for a heart-to-heart talk. "Listen to me, baby," she said, wiping Hope's tears. "You are not weird. You are special. You are strong. You are loved. And anyone who can't see that isn't worth your time." Michael chimed in, taking Hope's hand. "Your mom is right," he said. "We know what it's like to feel different. But being different isn't a bad thing. It's what makes you you. And we wouldn't change a single thing about you." Hope sniffled, but managed a small smile. "Really?" she asked. "Really?" Samantha and Michael said in unison. From that day on, they made an extra effort to boost Hope's confidence. They enrolled her in activities that celebrated diversity, like an inclusive dance class and a support group for kids with health issues. They encouraged her to embrace her unique qualities and to stand up for herself when others tried to put her down. Slowly but surely, Hope started to blossom. She made new friends who appreciated her for who she was. She discovered a talent for art and started entering her work in competitions. She even gave a speech at her school about the importance of inclusion and kindness. Samantha and Michael couldn't have been prouder. They knew that raising a child with special needs wasn't easy, but it was also incredibly rewarding. Every day, Hope taught them new lessons about resilience, compassion, and unconditional love. One evening, as they were tucking Hope into bed, she looked up at them with her big brown eyes. "Mommy, Daddy," she said, "thank you for being my parents. I know it's not always easy, but I'm so glad I have you." Samantha and Michael both teared up. They sat on either side of Hope's bed, enveloping her in a big family hug. "We're the lucky ones, baby," Samantha whispered. "You make us better people every single day. And we will always, always be here for you," Michael added, "no matter what." As they turned out the light and crept out of Hope's room, Samantha and Michael shared a look of pure love and contentment. Their family might not be conventional, but it was perfect in its own beautiful, unique way, and they wouldn't have it any other way. The years flew by, and before Samantha and Michael knew it, Hope was a teenager, ready to start high school. She had grown into a remarkable young woman, compassionate, creative, and wise beyond her years. Despite the challenges she had faced, Hope had never let her health issues define her. She excelled in her studies, particularly in English and art. She had a close-knit group of friends who loved her for her quirky sense of humor and kind heart, and she was an advocate for inclusivity, always standing up for anyone who was marginalized or mistreated. Samantha and Michael couldn't have been prouder of the person their daughter had become, but they also knew that the high school years could be tough, even for the most well-adjusted kids. They worried about the social pressures, the academic stress, the growing pains that came with adolescence. Their concerns were validated when Hope came home from school one day, quieter than usual. She picked at her dinner, avoiding eye contact. Samantha and Michael exchanged a worried glance. "What's going on, sweetheart?" Michael asked gently. "Did something happen at school?" Hope sighed, pushing her peas around her plate. "It's just, there's this boy," she mumbled. Samantha's heart clenched. She remembered her own high school heartbreaks all too well. "Do you want to talk about it?" she offered. The story came out in fits and starts. The boy's name was Jason. Hope had had a crush on him for months. She thought he liked her too. He was always friendly in class, always quick to partner with her on projects. But when she finally worked up the nerve to ask him to the homecoming dance, he had laughed in her face. "Why would I go to the dance with you?" he had scoffed. "You're not exactly normal." Hope's eyes filled with tears as she recounted the cruel words. Samantha and Michael felt a flare of anger on behalf of their daughter, but they tamped it down, knowing that what Hope needed now was comfort and support. "Oh, baby," Samantha murmured, moving to wrap Hope in a tight hug. "I'm so sorry. That boy is an idiot. He doesn't deserve you." Michael rolled his chair closer, placing a hand on Hope's knee. "Your mom is right," he said firmly. "Anyone who can't see how amazing you are isn't worth your time or your tears." Hope sniffled, burying her face in Samantha's shoulder. "But what if he's right?" she whispered. "What if I'm not normal? What if no one ever wants to be with me because of my issues?" Samantha's heart shattered. She hated that her beautiful, brilliant daughter had to grapple with these insecurities. She wished she could shield her from all the pain and rejection of the world. But she also knew that what Hope needed most was the truth. She pulled back slightly, cupping Hope's face in her hands. "Listen to me," she said. "Normal is overrated. The things that make you different are what make you special. And someday, you're going to meet someone who sees that, who loves every part of you, just as you are." Michael nodded, squeezing Hope's knee. "Look at your mom and me," he said with a small smile. "We're not exactly a conventional couple, but we found each other, and we built a beautiful life together, not in spite of our differences, but because of them." Hope's tears flowed. She looked between her parents, seeing the love and conviction in their eyes. "You really believe that?" she asked. "We know it," Samantha said firmly. "And we'll remind you of it every day until you believe it too." Over the next few weeks, Samantha and Michael made a point of reiterating that message. They complimented Hope's unique qualities, celebrated her small victories, reassured her whenever the self-doubt crept in, and slowly, Hope started to regain her confidence. She threw herself into her art, creating stunning pieces that explored themes of identity and self-acceptance. She volunteered with a local organization that promoted disability rights. And when another boy, one who appreciated her for exactly who she was, asked her out, she said yes with a smile. Samantha and Michael watched their daughter navigate this new chapter with a mixture of pride and bittersweet nostalgia. They knew she was growing up, that she would face many more challenges and triumphs in the years to come. But they also knew that no matter what, they would always be there for her, cheering her on every step of the way. Because that's what family did. That's what love was all about. The years continued to pass, each one bringing new joys and challenges for the little family. Hope flourished in high school, graduating at the top of her class with a scholarship to a prestigious art school. Samantha and Michael burst with pride as they watched her walk across the stage, her cap decorated with a vibrant, self-designed logo. As Hope packed for college, Samantha found herself tearing up at the smallest things. The sight of Hope's empty room, the childhood artwork still taped to the fridge, She knew this was a natural part of parenting, this gradual letting go, but it didn't make it any easier. Michael, as always, was her rock. He held her as she cried, reminisced with her about all the precious memories they had made in this house. "She'll be back," he reassured Samantha. "And we'll make new memories, the three of us together. This isn't an ending, love. It's just a new beginning." Samantha knew he was right, and as they helped Hope load up her things, hugged her tight and waved goodbye, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. They had raised a strong, resilient, compassionate young woman. Whatever challenges life threw at her, Samantha knew Hope would face them with grace and grit. The empty nest was an adjustment, but Samantha and Michael found ways to fill their time. They traveled, exploring all the places they had always dreamed of seeing. They volunteered, giving back to the communities that had supported them over the years, and they relished the long, uninterrupted conversations, the quiet moments of connection that had been harder to come by in the busy years of parenting. But their greatest joy was watching Hope thrive. She excelled in her classes, her artistic vision growing bolder and more refined with each passing semester. She made friends who celebrated her uniqueness, fell in love with a kind-hearted poet who adored her for exactly who she was. And when, after graduation, Hope announced that she had been offered a job at a prestigious gallery in the city, Samantha and Michael couldn't have been happier. They helped her move into her first grown-up apartment, marveling at the poised, self-assured woman she had become. It was around this time that Michael's health began to decline. Years of wheelchair use had taken a toll on his body, and he found himself tiring more easily, needing more assistance with daily tasks. Samantha was his constant caregiver, just as she had always been, but she worried about the future, about what would happen as they both continued to age. Hope, perceptive as ever, sensed her parents' concerns, and one evening, over a family dinner, she made an announcement that brought tears to both Samantha and Michael's eyes. "I've been thinking a lot about the future," she said, reaching across the table to take her parents' hands. "About how I want to be there for you both, just like you've always been there for me. So, I've decided to move back home." Samantha's eyes widened. "But your job, your life in the city," she started. Hope shook her head with a smile. "I can paint anywhere," she said. "But I only have one set of parents. I want to be here, to help out, to make sure we have as much time together as possible." Michael squeezed his daughter's hand, his eyes shining with love and gratitude. "You don't have to do this, sweetheart," he said softly. "I know," Hope said, "but I want to. You've both given me so much. It's time for me to give back." And so, in a beautiful full-circle moment, Hope moved back into her childhood home. She set up a studio in the garage, filling the house with the vibrant colors and bold lines of her art. She accompanied her parents to doctor's appointments, helped with household chores, filled the space with laughter and light. There were still challenges, of course. There always would be, but facing them together, as a family, made everything easier. One evening, as the three of them sat in the living room, Hope flipping through old photo albums, Samantha found herself overcome with emotion. She looked at Michael, at the love of her life, her partner through every storm. She looked at Hope, the miracle they had raised, the embodiment of all their hopes and dreams. "I'm just so grateful," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "For both of you, for this life we built. I wouldn't change a thing." Michael pulled her close, kissing her temple. Hope wrapped them both in a hug, her own eyes glistening. "Me neither," she said softly. "We're the lucky ones." And sitting there, wrapped in the warmth of her family's love, Samantha knew it was true. They were lucky. They were blessed. And come what may, they would always have each other. And that was the greatest gift of all.